Okay, so I test products on Amazon, so you don't. And this, by the way, hide your kids, hide your wives, put earmuffs on the kids. The F bombs are incoming. And so, if you need to actually protect your antiques or your collectibles, this is the display case not to buy. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so look at this thing. It's covered in tape, scotch tape. And if you see smutch, smutch, don't mind me, smush, smush, shit. If you see shit, and little hairs and yeah, and crap, it's because it's coming out of this antique teddy bear's paw pads. And as you can see, the reason why I have to get a display case for him is because the moths like to eat antique teddy bears. And so I got this display case. Well, I used to buy display cases for my antique dolls on Amazon, and they used to be pretty darn good. And you can get one for like under 50 bucks. They were already built, real solid, right? And so they don't make them anymore. And the reason is because now shipping costs are so high that everything has to come like IKEA. So Amazon is turning into IKEA. You had to pretty much do it yourself. So this came in 6 panels, all flat, like a pancake in a teeny tiny box, and I had to put it together. So this piece of crap thing was 50 bucks, right? And actually, they have every single seller selling the same exact display case under different brand names, but they're the same thing in just different dimensions. And I was just like, okay, enough is enough. I found the one the right size for this teddy bear, by the way, which is very hard. It's very hard to find anything that's tall. You know what I mean? And in a display case for your antiques, very, very, very hard to find anything that's tall. And so I finally found the one, perfect dimensions. It was 49.61, and I pulled the trigger. And I should have never pulled the trigger, because why? Because look at these tabs. Look how thin this is. So basically, okay, get a focus. Come on, camera. Samsung sucks. Okay, that's another rant. That'll be another video. Okay, so it's basically tongue and groove. So each, look at this, scotch tape everywhere, by the way. Okay, so you basically just stick it in these little grooves, and look how thin this is. Now, if something is this tall, don't you think it would have a more substantial base? So each acrylic piece of like panel could actually like stand up on its own. Oh no, no. This thing is like a house of fucking cards. The minute you touch this thing, it just collapses. I shit you not. So if you have like collectibles like glass, pottery, anything that's breakable, you're screwed. I'm really lucky that this is a teddy bear. If I had to put anything breakable in this thing, hell to the no. That's all I'm going to tell you. So, all right, so I get this thing. By the way, each panel, and there's 6 of them, was covered on both sides with this like frosted white like tape, just so it doesn't get fingerprints on it. Well, for shit's sakes, it took me 20 minutes to peel off both sides of each panel's tape. And I broke a couple of nails doing it. They don't give you any instructions with this thing at all. No instructions. I got cut off. Maybe I'm just ranting too much. Okay, so it came with no instructions. So I was like, well, shit. Okay, so as I'm building it, I noticed something. The back panel was cracked. So it arrived cracked. Yeah, and I stuck a piece of tape on that too. And so I was just like, wow, 50 bucks. This thing is the house of cards. It's falling apart. It's a piece of shit. And it came cracked. I want a new one. And so I called Amazon up, and they said, hello, ma'am and mom. Yeah, it was some guy with like 14 consonants in his name. I can't even pronounce it. And yeah, I do bad accents. And so he said, you must return, and I give you a replacement. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And so he said, I'm sending you a return label. And I said, okay. And then he says, oh no. And I said, oh no. And then he said, there's no more, no more. And I'm like, what do you mean no more? And then he said, there's no more. The seller doesn't have any more of these. And I'm like, well, shit. And then he didn't answer. And then he said, well, I give you money back, you return. And you wait for it to come back in stock. Could take months. And I'm like, no, I want another one. So give me another one around the same price, and I'll be happy. And he said, we don't price match. We don't replace with other seller items. And I was like, you can't give me another seller's item that's the same price to cover this, you know what I mean? And he said no. And then so we were searching for another one that was the same size and dimensions, and guess what? Only one other seller was selling one of these in the same size and dimensions for $78.61, not $49.61. And so I said, well, I want you to cover the rest. And he said, no, Mom, we don't do that. And I was like, oh, you're going to do that. And he said, no, I don't do that. And I was like, well, fuck me. And then I said, well, get me your manager. So I pulled a Karen. And yeah, so he got his manager. And the manager said, no, Mom, we don't do that. You have to wait for it to come in stock. And I'm like, I'm not waiting months. I want my fucking case and I want another replacement now. And he said, no, Mom, we can't help you. So I got rid of him really quick. And I called and I got another lady. Her name was Rose, and her name really isn't Rose. It's probably like a 14 consonant name. And she said, let me find you another case at the same price. And she couldn't. And she kept giving me links. She's like, giving me ASIN numbers to type in on my search and to look at other cases. And they were half the size as this for the same price. So I was like, ma'am, I need it to be at least 15.5 inches tall. If it's not at least 15.5 inches tall, it's no good to me. And she's like, here's another one. Check this one out. And it was 10 inches by 10 inches by 10 inches. I don't think she understood. And so I said, I'm not getting off this phone until I'm satisfied. You must satisfy me. And yes, I am a little bit of a bitch. And she said, ma'am, I'll just give you your money back. And I said, no, I want another replacement and I want it now. And she said, that's not how it works. And I was like, well, you're going to make it work. And so finally I convinced her to give me a full refund. So she gave me $49.61 for the case that I have Scotch tape holding it together. If you don't have Scotch tape on it and you touch this damn thing, it actually falls like a house of cards. And she said, order the other one for $78.61. As soon as you get that, call us up and we'll cover the difference. And I'm not going to do that because it's the same fucking case. It's just like $30 more. So I'm going to put a link in the description below. Do not buy these display cases at all. These little house of cards will come crashing down and pissing you off, and you'll be cursing like a fucking truck driver like me. Thanks for watching. So long.